When that final whistle blew in Dallas, for just a moment, it honestly sounded like this slow, sorrowful violin melody just completely drowning out the celebrations of the Spanish fans. It wasn't just the sound of Portugal's 1-0 defeat to Spain in the 2026 World Cup round of 16. It was the sound of a story, a staggering 2-decade-long story reaching its definitive, inescapable final chapter. We are literally looking at the end of a legendary era that changed the sport of football forever.
I go with a clear conscience. Those were the raw, incredibly emotional words spoken by Cristiano Ronaldo in the aftermath of that heavy Dallas night. And man, you could just feel the absolute weight of this swan song in his voice. He admitted he gave it his all, leaving the pitch with the kind of peace you only really get when you know you've completely emptied the tank. This wasn't just another match, guys. This was the ultimate curtain call for a player who literally reshaped the very DNA of modern football.
As he walked off the pitch that night, the 41-year-old captain just couldn't contain it anymore. He looked less like a footballer leaving a match, and honestly more like a battle-worn soldier coming home from his very last war. The tears in Dallas were such a poignant sight. It immediately brought flashbacks to him walking down the tunnel in Qatar 4 years earlier. But this time was different. This time, it signaled the absolute, definitive end.
To really wrap our heads around the magnitude of this ending, we have to rewind exactly 20 years. Back in 2006, this electric, 21-year-old generational talent steps onto the World Cup stage and bangs in his first tournament goal against Iran. Over the next 2 decades, he basically carried a nation's hopes on his back, famously leading them to their first major international trophy at the 2016 Euros. And that relentless, incredible journey is exactly what finally brought him to the grass in Dallas in 2026.
20 years. Think about that for a second. There is an unprecedented, frankly mind-boggling span of exactly 2 decades between his very first World Cup goal and his most recent one. For 2 straight decades, across completely different tactical eras, playing against entirely new generations of defenders, he has been this constant looming threat on the world's biggest stage. And this whole journey is pretty much defined by one staggering number, 146. He is the ultimate scoring machine. He holds the all-time men's international record with an astonishing 146 goals for Portugal. He took a relatively small footballing nation and single-handedly transformed it into a global powerhouse. He showed entire generations of players that absolute belief and sheer relentless discipline could actually carry you further than talent alone.
But as you probably know, the road to this 2026 farewell was paved with a ton of doubt. Remember the crushing heartbreak of the 2022 World Cup? Portugal was stunningly knocked out by Morocco in the quarterfinals. Ronaldo walked down the tunnel in tears, having only scored once that whole tournament. For a lot of fans and pundits, that really felt like the bitter, anticlimactic end to his World Cup dream.
Which left the entire sporting world asking one massive, burning question. Would the aging icon ever actually return to conquer the one trophy still missing from his immortal cabinet? Could a player of his age truly defy the brutal march of time and come back for one final, desperate attempt at football's ultimate prize?
Well, the hard science made a return seem pretty much impossible. According to a massive study published in the Frontiers in Psychology journal, which analyzed decades of major award nominations, the absolute peak of individual soccer performance hits at age 27 or 28. After that, physical decline is just inevitable, right? Yet, here is Ronaldo arriving at the 2026 World Cup as a starting striker at 41 years old. He was literally defying the established limits of human biology. If you're enjoying this documentary, subscribe to Flop Files and share this video with a football fan. We uncover the stories behind football's greatest moments and biggest comebacks.
6. By finding the back of the net in 2026, Cristiano Ronaldo achieved this just breathtaking redemption. He became the first and only player in the entire history of football to score in 6 different FIFA World Cups. It's a milestone so absurd, so dependent on unbelievable longevity and resilience that honestly, it might never be broken.
And he didn't just score once in 2026. Oh no. He completely silenced the doubters by scoring twice against Uzbekistan. With that brilliant brace, he shattered Eusebio's legendary decades-old national record of 9 World Cup goals, pushing his own career tournament total up to a staggering 11.
But as Portugal advanced out of the group, there was this massive shadow still looming over him. See, going into the 2026 tournaments, all of his previous World Cup goals had come in the group stages. So,
At 41 years old, with the crushing weight of an entire nation on his shoulders, could he finally conquer this notorious knockout stage curse?
The answer was a resounding yes. In the incredibly dramatic round of 32 clash against Croatia, Portugal gets awarded a penalty. With the pressure literally at its absolute highest, the 41-year-old icon steps up and converts. It was his first ever World Cup knockout goal. And get this, it officially made him the oldest player in history to score in a World Cup knockout match at 41 years and 147 days old.
But this epic run ultimately collided with a really tense tactical gridlock against Spain in the round of 16. Ronaldo managed only 19 touches of the ball. He seemed completely isolated against a really resilient Spanish defense. And this sparked a fierce debate. Does manager Roberto Martinez keep the fatigued 41-year-old on the pitch hoping for a flash of magic? Or do you bring on the young, dynamic Gonzalo Ramos, the very guy who scored a hat-trick in the 2022 knockouts? Well, Martinez chose to gamble on his captain.
And that gamble didn't pay off. In the 91st minute, deep into stoppage time, the hammer finally dropped. Mikel Merino finished a rapid Spanish move, completely catching the Portuguese defense sleeping. It was a brutal, heartbreaking 1-0 winner that definitively ended Portugal's tournament. And with it, Cristiano Ronaldo's final World Cup dream.
The reality of that moment was just devastating, and his own words were absolutely dripping with finality. He said, "I'm sad to be leaving the World Cup like this. I gave it my all, I did my best. It was my last World Cup, yes." He confirmed to the media right then and there that he wouldn't push for a 7th tournament. He left the pitch in tears, but as he insisted, he left with a completely clear conscience. He truly gave his body and soul to his country. So, naturally, an ending like this reignites the eternal GOAT debate, doesn't it? The 2026 World Cup definitely shifted the scales once again. Lionel Messi captured the all-time tournament scoring record with 18 goals, adding to his 2022 World Cup trophy and his 8 Ballon d'Ors. Meanwhile, Ronaldo boasts 5 Champions League titles, that absolute international goal record of 146 we talked about, and the unbelievable feat of scoring in 6 World Cups. They really just represent 2 wildly different ideas of greatness: pure artistry versus relentless self-made excellence. Ultimately, the numbers tell the story of a truly immortal legacy. Ronaldo is arguably the greatest goal scorer modern football has ever produced. He's a walking monument to discipline and constant reinvention. Yet, there is a poetic tragedy to his story, isn't there? Because at the end of the day, he remains without the one crowning trophy that now fully defines his greatest rival.
Cristiano Ronaldo leaves the World Cup stage the way he entered it 20 years ago, chasing greatness. He broke almost every record the tournament has to offer. Every record except the one that mattered most. Thanks for watching Flop Files.